So you drew a beautiful background. And then you think to yourself, wow, a character should live in this background. There's just one tiny issue. Nothing about this character tells you that they belong in the background. The colors are off, they are too bright, the lighting is off, there is no lighting, even. Well, you're in luck because I'm gonna show you how to fix that. I'll demonstrate with a Draw This in Your Style entry for It's Keeks. And if you wanna participate, you can do so. This used to be my biggest issue when I started drawing characters in backgrounds. They would just look weird and pasted in. First of all, of course, you need a sketch of your character in the background that you want. And the most important part is to start by coloring the background before you go on to the character. This will ensure that the colors you want in your background are already established and you know how to shift the hues over to your character. I mostly just raw dog the background, but when I start filling in the character, you're going to notice one important thing. You see, Heron is mostly gray, but when you start putting that gray into the water that's green, and everything around it is green, it has a lot of vegetation, all of the original colors in the reference are going to need to adopt a more greenish hue. Of course, I start coloring with the shadows and then I add the light later, but I already talked about that in a different video. So as I start picking the colors, you're gonna notice that all of them are still gray, but they are green gray. They lean towards the green. And in the reference, the snout/beak thing is kind of pink, but to make it more greenish, I went and made it orange. And that's how you shift the hue, you move towards the color of your background. That's how you make the environment look like it's interacting with the character instead of just them floating in it without any kind of context. Now the lighting, everyone's favorite. So you see, the light is actually a character in itself because it interacts with absolutely everything in your composition. And in this case, it's coming from the top and permeating the water from the top. And when it gets into the water, it scatters around and it goes into all sorts of fun directions. But the most important direction is the one it's coming from, so it's always going to have a source. And it moves out from that source and interacts with the environment. And how it interacts is it bounces around. So when it finally reaches the bottom of the swamp where all the green is, it bounces back up. And that's where we get that ambient bounce lighting effect. You can see this green is much brighter than the gray because the light picked up that green and is now projecting it onto the scales. One last thing I'm going to bring your attention to is that you can add elements into your background that show that the character is interacting with it. So you can see how without the bubbles that show the speed at which Heron is diving into the water to grab the fish, it just looks kind of dead and kind of weird. But when you add those bubbles, suddenly they tell you, oh, he really going for it. Also, the fact that all the other fish are looking at the scene in front of them is also making the scene more interesting and alive. I also recommend you to keep the different elements of the background and the character on separate layers because it's easier to edit later and it makes your life more organized. So while rendering, you can go between the layers and adjust things slightly depending on where you're going with the piece. That's how I was able to add the ambient lighting so easily. Using the airbrush, I just alpha locked the layer where the dragon is and I just added it on the bottom. Another fun detail is the ear. Whenever the light is very strong, I like adding that orange in the ear because it shows the light going through the ear and it lights up all the blood vessels inside, making it orange. So pretty much the secret to making your backgrounds more alive is making them interact with the character and making the light interact with the background in the correct way. So yeah, if you enjoyed this little tutorial and tips along the way, you can find more of that over on my Patreon. It's a great way to support the channel and you get an exclusive look into my behind the scenes and different stuff I'm working on. Oh yeah, and if you want a commission to be done by the holidays, make sure to contact me by December 3rd, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to guarantee it'll be done in time. And I work in order, so first come, first served. If you don't contact me in time, while there's still enough slots left, I'm not gonna be able to finish your commission. Sorry. With the self-promo out of the way, I hope these tips were useful to you. Don't forget to subscribe for more if you enjoy my content, and make sure to check out the Draw This in Your Style challenge that it's Keeks is hosting. I had a lot of fun drawing this, and I hope you had fun watching me do it and learned something new. So I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye!